Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well, having yourselves a good day. I am so excited for today's video. I know I said in my last video that was my favorite video of the year, but this one actually might take the cake. I love a good financial reset. There's honestly nothing better than starting a new year with a fresh spreadsheet, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna kind of cut to the chase because we have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to go over. But if you are new here, welcome, definitely subscribe. I do a lot of lifestyle content, budgeting and personal finance videos as well. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover. I'm gonna go over my 2024 financial goals, which I did kind of touch on in my 2025 reset, which was my last video. But I think it's important to still provide a bit of context. We'll go through those briefly, talk through my 2025 financial goals, and then we're going to go through my 2024 budget. I have an annual budget so I can see everything, like the total numbers, which is always so humbling. So a bit of a 2024 spending wrapped. I also want to compare it with last year. I feel like my income has changed a lot in the last 12 months, so it'll be really interesting to see if my spending has increased with that. And then my favorite part, we're going to set up a new budget for 2025, and I need to set up some sinking funds because that's one of my goals. Spoiler. So let's quickly go through our 2024 financial goals. First one was to save $12,000 for our US trip. We did do that. I wanted to pay off our car loan. Our balance at the beginning of 2024 was $18,500. We were so focused and determined to get this done in the first half of this year. And I'm really proud of us for that one. Next goal we did, which was to increase our emergency fund to $25,000. It's actually now sitting around $35,000, which is about 6 months worth of our expenses. Also wanted to invest every month, even though this year was really about paying off debt, paying off our car loan, and then contributing extra towards paying off our mortgage. I think it's good to have a bit of balance. I'm naturally quite a risk adverse person, especially when it comes to my finances. Investing for me, like, I know logically it makes sense. It's just, it feels like a bit of a risk, especially when you're doing it outside of like your super fund, which is like your retirement fund if you're not from Australia. Return on investment isn't always guaranteed. And so yeah, I kind of had to like encourage myself to continue investing, even though my default is just paying off debt and paying off our mortgage quicker. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's good, at least in our position, to have a balance of both. For me, financial freedom and financial security, like being a homeowner and not having a mortgage, is invaluable. Our interest rate is also quite high as well, which kind of plays into it. It's 6.45% at the moment. So I still wanted to invest, but I also wanted to balance it with paying off debt and hopefully becoming debt-free one day. Next goal was to have 3 no or low spend months in 2024. We did not do this. Never say never, like I'll probably do another one in the future, but I feel like the more sustainable approach is doing a no spend week, like once a month. And last goal, I set this one in my mid-year reset. So I looked at all of my annual goals halfway through 2024 and set a couple of new ones. So our goal was to pay off an extra $20,000 of our mortgage by the end of the year. Felt like a really lofty goal. I don't know how we achieved it. I feel like sometimes when you just like set these really ambitious aspirational goals, it's like the universe is like, okay, I'm gonna make it happen for you. And that $20,000 isn't just $20,000. It's taken 2 years and 2 months off of the life of our loan, and it saved us over $104,000 in the long run. So it has a big impact. Now for my goals for 2025, first goal is to utilize sinking funds and actually do it this year. I think I've made this promise to myself for like 3 or 4 years in a row. So if you catch me slipping in any of my monthly resets, call me out, please. Next goal is to do 1 no spend week a month. I did a couple of these throughout 2024, loved it. I thought it was so good just to financially reset. I find that Nick and I sometimes get into this rhythm of just like habitual spending and just spending out of habit. That is literally the definition of habitual spending, but just doing it's like almost default. Having a no spend week really forces you to reevaluate your priorities and get creative with your time. I find I'm so much more productive when I'm not spending money. I'm not trying to fill the void. I'm not trying to chase that dopamine hit. It's honestly been the best. Bringing back the same goal from last year to invest monthly, I think I just need this constant encouragement and reminder to keep going with it. Even if I can't see the payoff now, I know in 20, 30 years I'll be thanking myself. We also want to pay off an extra $50,000 of our mortgage or put it into our offset. I haven't quite decided our approach. I need to speak to our broker, which kind of leads into another one of our goals, which is to start planning for an investment property. I'm in kind of 2 minds talking about this because some people have very strong opinions about investment properties and like people owning more than one home. The way I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, is that everyone needs a house at the end of the day. There are many people that can't have a mortgage, or more importantly, don't want a mortgage. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but we'd like to start planning for it. I want to speak to our broker and just kind of work out a timeline, an action plan, especially with me being self-employed. I don't even know if it'd qualify for another property at this point. So that's something I want to figure out. But in the meantime, I want to continue paying into our offset or paying off of our mortgage, because that extra $50,000 that we can contribute on top of our regular repayments is going to be vital for buying that second property. We might even decide like it's not a viable option. It's just a conversation we've been having more and more. And then our last goal is to increase our net worth to $400,000. We're gonna move over to my desk now and go through our budget spreadsheet. I've got my budget spreadsheet pulled up here. This is the yearly 2.0 spreadsheet from CoPlenty, who are kindly sponsoring this portion of the video. Big thank you to them. I downloaded this spreadsheet. This will be my 3rd year using it just as like an organic customer. And over the years, we've just forged this really beautiful relationship. I love them. I love what they're about. They not only have budgeting tools, they also have a goal and habit tracker, which I'll be using this year. So everything's nice and streamlined. They have a travel planner, which I use for all my recent trips, meal planner. They have so many different tools to help better your life. This spreadsheet in particular has been a game changer and has been such a vital tool for me on my financial journey. So I'll have a link down below if you want to check them out. I think if you click the link, my code is automatically applied, but otherwise it's just smileycitrus 10. That'll get you a nice little discount. And they have a ton of different budgeting spreadsheets depending on how you like to go about things. I like the yearly 2.0 because it's the most comprehensive version in terms of like the detail. I'm a very the more detailed the better, detail oriented person. And I like that it breaks it up by month. So I've got my monthly budget, but then I've also got an annual dashboard as well. So rather than having to add everything up at the end of the year, I've got all of my final numbers here. So when you download the spreadsheet, this is what the annual dashboard will look like. It's completely blank. And as you go through month by month, this will update automatically, which is super cool. So total income this year was $229,709.32, which is insane. It's weird to see that number. Like, that is a lot of money. What have I done with that money? This is combined income as well. I should preface that. Combined and also after tax. I'm always in two minds about sharing our income. It's at the point now where I realize it's not relatable to the average Joe compared to last year, which last year I thought was an incredible year, and it was. We made $148,877.04. That was with me increasing my income, really putting more time and energy into social media and growing my income. And that's really what finances is about. It's almost like dieting. Like, you have to spend less than you're making. And if you're already budgeting and you're already living quite a frugal lifestyle, like, the only other option you have is to increase your income. It's really nice to be in a day and age now where it is easier to make that extra income. There's so many different avenues and ways that you can make extra money online. There's literally whole Instagram, YouTube accounts dedicated to side hustles and how to earn money online. Mine just happens to be in the form of social media, which has consequently become my full-time job. And yeah, I'm always in two minds about sharing our income because I never want it to come across as like insincere or braggy or just like any kind of way. But also on the other hand, if I don't share our income and if I'm reaching my financial goals but also able to spend my money on trips and like going out to eat, like, that doesn't make sense. There has to be context. Sometimes you just see some people online that are able to do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, how? Like, actually how? It makes so much more sense and it makes you feel so much better knowing that, like, oh, they have a higher income. Like, that's why they're able to do that. Total expenses for 2024 will come as no surprise, $229,000. I like to work off a zero-based budget, so every single dollar has a job and serves a purpose. We didn't actually spend $229,000, but we'll get into the who, what, where, when, why. And then total net worth, this is actually, I think, the most accurate net worth I've had. I went through and looked at Nick and I's super HEX. Nick has a hefty HEX total. Unfortunately, he did a double degree in law and media, which came at a price, obviously. My HEX is actually, it's pretty low now. I mean, I didn't graduate, so like, you'd hope so. I don't know how it works in other countries, but here in Australia, university is free in that there's not really any upfront costs. All of the costs are added to your HEX set. So you do have a student loan debt technically, but you only have to pay it back when you're earning over a certain amount, and it like increases with how much you earn, and it's a debt that dies with you. So like, if I die tomorrow, Nick's not going to be burdened with my student loan debt. Like, she's gone. Scrolling down here, we have the totals with all of the different sections of our budget. So we've got our income for the year, month by month. So the expected section is what we budgeted or what we expected to get paid, and then the actual amounts. So it's so funny seeing the difference. Like, I really had no idea what to expect. This is my first year being self-employed and doing social media full-time. So I under budgeted by $66,000, which is better than over budgeting, and honestly doesn't make a huge difference to our finances. Any extra money I will like reinvest into the business or put into my business account, which you'll see, I think that was like one of our highest categories, or we'll just save, invest, or pay off more debt. In total, we spent $13,387 on bills, $819 on subscriptions, which I'm happy with. I feel like that's a good amount. Our overall expenses, so this is some needs, some wants, we spent $56,000, which I would love to compare with last year. We spent $45,000, so that's an increase of 11 grand. December kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works. We ended up booking flights for our US trip, also some accommodation from New York because it was literally 62% off. I also, because I had such an incredible month, decided to like treat my loved ones at Christmas time. I budgeted $45,000 and we saved $77,000. Again, it comes back to my income being variable and just like investing or saving the difference. And then the total amount we spent on debt in 2024 was $81,496. February was our lowest month. We only spent $2,665. And then you can kind of see it's increased over the last 12 months. Savings I really prioritized a lot in the first few months before I quit my job because I wanted to have a nice little buffer. And then the rest of the months we didn't really save a lot. We were really focused on our debt payoff, which you can see over here. With my subscriptions, I did a mid-year reset and ordered a lot of my subscriptions, so went down the last couple of months. Our total spending overview looks very similar to our monthly breakdown, which is nice to see. We were quite consistent across the year. So 35.5% of our money went towards debt, 33.7% in savings, 24.6% on our expenses, 0.4% on subscriptions, and 5.8% on bills. Our top 5 expenses of the year were our mortgage. We contributed an extra $20,000 extra on top of our regular repayments. So $40,000 went towards that. I put $31,000 in my business account. That was for any business expenses, any extra contributions on my super, $22,000 on the other part of our mortgage. We have a split loan because we built our house. We still haven't combined it because we haven't refinanced yet. Fourth biggest expense was our car loan, $18,924, and we contributed $14,000 towards our emergency fund. I am so happy with all these top 5 expenses. I would actually love to see how they compare with last year. Let's see. Oh, this is cool to see. So even though we spent more this year, $11,000 more, our percentage was a lot lower. We spent 30.7% on expenses and only 24.6% this year. So slay. Top 5 expenses last year: mortgage, car loan, rent. Oh my God, what a throwback. I forgot we were renting. Beginning of 2023, we were in our renting era. That was an expensive rent. Our next biggest expense after our emergency fund was travel. Comes as no surprise. We love travel. Our offset account. Travel, again, this is like a separate category. I think this one was doing travel savings. Groceries, we spent $7,198 this year, which is 3.14% of our spending. $6,363 on home. We invested $6,000 this year, which is cool. We spent $5,000 on gifts, which is why I want to set up a sinking fund for gifts. We spent $4,680 on the dogs. This wasn't just Mabel. We introduced a new member of the family, little Elsie May. So that's obviously increased compared to last year. Let's compare the pair. How much did we spend on Mabel last year? $1,778. So big increase. We spent $3,745 on eating out. Compared to last year, we spent $4,783. So that's actually an improvement from last year. Love that. What about coffee? We spent $2,078 on coffee in 2024, and in 23, we spent $2,462. Again, an improvement. Wow, we actually love to see it. Health, I spent $2,386. That's a mix of like some doctor's appointments, but also starting Pilates this year. And that's a category that I'm okay spending money in. Like, I've only got one body, I've only got one life, I want to look after it. Whereas compared to last year, it's like all the way down here. I don't even... Health, where are you? I can't even see it on here. $485. Overall, I feel like our spending hasn't changed an awful lot from last year, which is kind of surprising given how much our income has grown. A good surprising, like a nice surprise. It kind of shows me that we're not giving into lifestyle creep too much. Before we get into setting up our 2025 budget, I wanted to show you guys our net worth dashboard, which is, I'm like really zoomed in on because, you know, I've got to be a little bit mysterious, keep some things private. We've got the evolution of our net worth, which there's a couple of blank spots here because I forgot to fill out a couple of months, but it's cool to see that progress. Our asset distribution, so 76.8% is property, 5.1% is other assets, 8.7% is cash, cold hard cash, and 9.3% is investments, which I would like to see that amount higher, I think. We've had a bit of a location change. I decided to come downstairs. I felt like I was losing light upstairs. I've got my laptop, we're at my dining table, comfy cozy, and we are going to set our budget for 2025. I always like to start with a fresh new spreadsheet, so I just go back to the original email where I purchased my spreadsheet from CoPlenty and I just re-download and start a new one. It's a good opportunity to start fresh and maybe make some new tweaks from last year because I'm constantly I just figured out maybe like 4 or 5 months ago how to reflect, and this would probably have skewed my figures a little bit, but how to reflect when I pull money from my savings. So for example, if we're saving for travel, like we saved $12,000 for our US trip earlier this year, how do I show us spending that without it becoming my income? And it's actually really easy to do. I'll give you guys an example. So all you have to do is, we'll use January as an example. Say I'm taking $500 from my emergency fund. You literally just have to do minus 500 emergency fund, and then it will show up in your left to spend. So it's now added to your budget. You've taken it from your savings. And then if you're spending that on, say, like car repairs, you just go 500 car expenses. Like, so simple, but I had no idea that you could do that. So this is what you see when you first download it. There's a step-by-step on how to set everything up. So we're going to go through this together. There's also a playlist on YouTube with tutorials, which is super handy. But really the main tab when it comes to setting up is the annual totals. This is where we go in and add all of your different categories, income, bills, subscriptions, etc. And then this is what will show up in your monthly tab. So we'll start with income. So we've got Nick's paycheck. Number 1, the yearly 2.0 spreadsheet will work for any kind of pay cycle you might be on, whether it's weekly, monthly, fortnightly, or in my case, randomly. All you have to do is add in different paychecks. So paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, Nick gets paid fortnightly. We'll do my business income. Ooh, if I can spell. Nick's paycheck number 3, if it's a 3 paycheck month, and then miscellaneous, which is any miscellaneous income that might come through, like a tax return, cashback, online surveys, that kind of thing, just to differentiate between the two. Bills and subscriptions, I'm basically just going to copy over from last year. So we've got gas, electricity. I like to add a little emoji, just to feel something, you know? Water. I hate how Australians say water. It's disgusting. We'll add gym. I always go back and forth on whether or not I want to include gym under bills. Technically it's not a bill. Like if push came to shove and something were to happen to us financially, we would be able to cut this expense. We're not in a lock-in contract anymore, but our direct debits for the gym come from our bills account. And so it's nice having like an overall figure. When I look at January, I know I have to transfer $1,046.20 into my bills account. And then all of those direct debits will come out when they're supposed to. I don't know, maybe I'll change this, but for right now, it makes the most sense. Pet insurance, which reminds me, I need to add Elsie onto Mabel's pet insurance. She got a couple months free from the breeder, but I think that's about to expire. Gorge, private health cover, which we just have extras at the moment. I previously had car expenses on here. I added this kind of halfway through the year. I still want a budget for that, but I'm gonna make it its own sinking fund. Then subscriptions, we've got Spotify, Amazon Prime, Netflix. I think we might keep Disney Plus this year and Everyday Extra. Now for the fun part, our variable expenses. So we've got groceries. I like a little apple emoji next to groceries. I don't know what it is. When I think grocery shopping, I think apples. It's like the first thing that comes to my mind. I think last year I tried to categorize it or like order it in order of most importance, but then I got halfway through and forgot my dog. So I will not be making that mistake again. I'm going to try and order by needs and then go into our wants. So that way when I'm looking at our budget and I'm trying to work out what our emergency fund should be, I can see like the top 3, 4, 5 categories are things that I need to account for. So petrol is a kind of a need. I'm going to do pets at the top, health, which is things like doctor's appointments, protein powder, vitamins. I also put my Pilates packs under here. We've got home stuff. This is just like household expenses, anything from toilet paper, laundry detergent, home decor, cleaners, which I actually might make a separate category because I would like to know exactly how much we're spending on that per year. I think we'll continue with that in 2025. Gifts we'll add. I talked about this in my 2025 reset as well, but one of my goals this year is to give back more, whether that's donating more or volunteering or just treating my loved ones. So I'm gonna write treating others. I feel like that kind of encapsulates everything. We'll do a little love heart. There we go. This year I think I'm gonna combine eating out with takeaway. I usually have them as 2 separate categories, but I found there are just some things that are a bit of a gray area, and I go to input my expenses and I have no idea how to categorize it. Eating out, social is a big one. We love our social lives. What else is there? Coffee, can't forget coffee, which is so encouraging seeing our coffee spending going down. I'm actually really proud of us. This is another thing I felt like I was missing from my budget last year, is a category for hobbies. There are so many things that came up, particularly with Nick. Anytime he had like any extracurricular hobby related stuff, I was like, oh, how do I categorize this? I just ended up putting it under miscellaneous. And also coming back to me, because it's all about me, one of my personal goals this year is to lower my screen time, spend more time offline, and focus more on my hobbies, like scrapbooking, for example. So I want to make room in our budget for that and like track that. Love heart, because I love my hobbies. Oh, let's do the little letter. That's a cute one. Call me lame, but I put a lot of thought into the emoji that I choose for each category. I mean, I'm gonna have to look at it for the next 12 months. Like it's important stuff, guys. What else haven't we done? Rideshare, metro. I think I'm gonna combine these two and just say transport. I also think I'm going to combine, while we're on this little combination train, I'm going to combine clothing and beauty, just because I feel like they're not like high spend categories for us. They're not areas in our budget that we really need to work on, apart from just before I go on a trip and I feel the need to completely reinvent myself and reinvent my wardrobe, but that's a personal problem. But most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, we don't really spend a lot of money on clothing or beauty. Books, got to make room in our budget for that. Date night is a big one. Really trying to prioritize that in 2025. Cute. And then I think just miscellaneous. 10 different categories. I feel like that's a good amount. If you guys feel like I'm missing something or there's something I've completely overlooked, please leave a comment down below. I'm going to refer back to my 2025 financial goals just to make sure we account for everything. So utilize sinking funds. We'll make sure we do that. I need to make sure I have room for investments, offset accounts. So I think whatever I put in here should show up in the savings and debt tracker. Yes. Let me just try this out. January 500 travel. Does that pull over here? Yes, stunning. And then if I pull that money in February from my savings, it should, yeah, show up here. Oh, that's so handy. Okay, that just makes my life 10 times easier. I can't believe I haven't been utilizing this tab up until now. We're keeping as much money in an offset account as possible because that's offsetting some of our mortgage. Previously, I just had like a random separate spreadsheet where I was tracking what in our offset was for what, but now this just like does it for me. Oh, I feel so dumb. See, year 3 and I'm still learning things. What else did I want to add? Oh, car expenses or car maintenance. We'll say car expenses because that covers like rego, servicing, all those fun things. And then last but not least, we've got our debt. So we have 2 mortgages. Well, technically 1 mortgage, but it's split. Exact same interest rate. The balances are pretty similar. The land was 50K more than the build, but other than that, it's like almost identical. I think that's everything. So if we go over to January, everything should be filled out with all the categories. Yeah, look at that. It's just so pretty. I think while I'm here, I'm gonna put it to use. I'm actually just gonna budget for January quickly. Oh, is it a 3 paycheck month right off the bat? I think, oh, it is. What a way to start. Business, clearly I have no idea because I keep lowballing it and then I'm so far off, but I'm gonna, again, conservatively, because I like to come from a conservative approach, say $6,500 after tax. Miscellaneous, I don't think there'll be any income, so we'll just say 0. And then all of my bills, I usually just copy and paste over from the previous month. Gym, I actually need to update this amount, $65.56. It's now $110 per month because I signed up as well. We both swapped to a new gym, so it's cheaper overall, but I've joined, so more expensive overall, but gives me access to a full gym. They also have reformer Pilates machines, so I can do reformer classes on demand. Such a slay. I'll still be going to Pulse and using Trainwell with my personal trainer, but I can kind of tweak things and get a bit more movement in. So I know in January I have to transfer $1,064.83 into my bills account, and all of those direct debits will come from it. That's how I like to break up my personal finances. I basically just work off of a offset account which houses all my savings, a bills account where all these direct debits with our monthly and quarterly bills, and then all of our expenses are paid on a credit card and we just pay it off in full every month. Once I've done our bills and subscriptions, I then go over and add our debt payments. So in this case, our mortgage. So this one is $208.25. 1839.41. Now this year I'm going to try and do things a little bit differently. I saw Carter talk about this in one of her reset videos. She was talking about the concept of paying yourself first, and I've seen this a lot online recently. I think it's a really good way to budget and make sure that you're hitting your financial goals. Often I will make sure all of my bills are covered, I'm paying my mortgage, and then I'll go straight to my variable expenses, and then whatever's left over I'll add to my savings. I want to do things differently. Pay myself first, work towards my financial future. So with that in mind, I'm going to budget $2,000 for travel just because we do have a trip in the works in the first half of this year. Home fund, I'm going to budget $250. There's nothing that instantly comes to mind for that one. Car expenses, I was budgeting $165, I think. Yeah, $165 for car stuff, so we'll stick with that. Emergency fund, I'm going to leave at $0. Our emergency fund is fully funded at the moment, so you don't need to contribute anything to that. ETFs, I'm going to invest $500. Business, let's see, we'll say $1,000. I just like to keep a good buffer in here. Then if there's any expenses or like travel that comes up, there's money sitting in there. And then gifts, we spent $5,006 on gifts last year. Divided by 12, that's just over $400. So go 400. Oh my god, you are so needy. It's like the dinner time. Cool, that leaves us with $5,794.16 left over, which is plenty. We can probably add more to our savings. Groceries, I always try and stick to about 600. I'm actually working with Dinnerly on my Instagram coming up, so I don't think we'll need the full amount for that. 200 for petrol. Pets, we do have a vet appointment for both the girls. It was meant to be in December. I was trying to get it in December so we could end off the year and leave the vet bills behind in 2024, but no such luck. So I think that'll be around 400 between the both of them. Health, I'm gonna budget 250. I need to buy another reformer pack, I think. Gifts, we have like 2 or 3 birthdays in January, so I'm gonna go with 300. Treating others, 150. I feel like that's a good place to start. I really have no idea what to budget for that. Eating out, I'm gonna budget 300, so 150 between us. We're both doing the 75 soft challenge. I also want to do a no spend week in January. Social, I think it's gonna be a pretty social month this month, so we'll go 250. Coffee, 100. Hobbies, ooh, we'll go 100 as well for hobbies. Transport, 50. Shopping, I'm gonna budget 200 for just because we need a couple new things. I'm gonna budget $50 for entertainment in case we wanna go to the movies. Books, 30 and 50 for date night. We'll go 50 for miscellaneous too. So if we stick to that budget, we will spend $3,405. In that case then, I'm gonna put the rest between business and travel. So 3, 8, 9, 16. Cool. So that is a $0 budget. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching my 2025 financial reset. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. Subscribe as well if you haven't already, and follow me over on Instagram or my TikTok if you want to see more short form content. I love you guys so much. I hope you will have a wonderful 2025, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Bye guys.